There is a type of intelligence that doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need to speak loudly. It doesn't need validation. It doesn't need attention. And that's exactly why it becomes dangerous. The most dangerous people in history were not always the strongest, not always the richest, not always the loudest. Many of them simply understood human nature better than everyone else. They understood fear, desire, weakness, loneliness, power. And once a person understands how human beings truly work, they stop reacting to the world the same way. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche once wrote, "Whoever fights monsters should see to it that in the process he does not become a monster." Because the deeper someone understands people, the easier it becomes to manipulate them. Tonight, we're going to explore the most dangerous type of intelligence. Not IQ, not memory, not academic success, but psychological intelligence. The intelligence that allows someone to read people like books. And once you understand this, you'll never look at human behavior the same way again. The intelligence most people never notice. When people think about intelligence, they imagine mathematicians, scientists, chess grandmasters. But history has repeatedly shown something terrifying. The people who influence society the most are often experts in emotion, not logic. Niccolo Machiavelli understood this over 500 years ago. In his book, The Prince, he explained that controlling perception is often more powerful than controlling reality. People don't respond to truth. They respond to what they believe is true. And the individuals who understand this become incredibly powerful. Psychologists today call this social intelligence, the ability to understand body language, emotional patterns, motivations, insecurities, status dynamics, hidden intentions. A highly intelligent manipulator can enter a room and detect weakness within minutes. They notice who needs validation, who fears rejection, who wants attention, who feels insecure, who is trying too hard. Most people never realize they are being psychologically studied. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." That sentence alone explains why psychological intelligence is dangerous. Because most human beings are not fully aware of their own motivations. People believe they are rational, but research in behavioral psychology repeatedly shows that emotions drive the majority of human decisions. In fact, Nobel Prize-winning psychologist Daniel Kahneman spent decades studying how irrational human thinking truly is. His research revealed that most decisions are emotional first, logical second. This means if someone can control emotion, they can often control behavior. And that's where dangerous intelligence begins. The power of observation. The most dangerous intelligent people are rarely impulsive. They observe first. Silence becomes their weapon. While everyone else is trying to be seen, they are studying the room. The famous psychologist Robert Greene discusses this repeatedly in The 48 Laws of Power. He explains that people reveal themselves constantly. Their insecurities leak through. Speech posture, anger, over-explaining emotional reactions. Most people talk too much because they are uncomfortable with silence. But silence creates power. Because silence forces observation, and observation creates information. The FBI's former behavioral experts often emphasize that people reveal more unintentionally than intentionally. Micro-expressions, tone changes, eye movement, speech hesitation. Human beings leak information emotionally, and highly observant people notice patterns others completely miss. This is why emotionally controlled individuals often intimidate others naturally, not because they are aggressive, but because they are unreadable. Humans fear what they cannot predict. Sun Tzu wrote in The Art of War, "All warfare is based on deception." Most people think this only applies to battle, but psychological warfare exists everywhere. In relationships, friendships, business, politics, social media. Every human interaction contains invisible power dynamics, and the people who understand those dynamics gain enormous influence. Why emotional control becomes terrifying. One of the clearest signs of dangerous intelligence is emotional control, because emotion exposes weakness. When someone angers you easily, they control you. Marcus Aurelius understood this nearly 2,000 years ago. The Stoic emperor wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Most people live entirely controlled by external reactions. Praise changes them, insults change them, attention changes them, rejection destroys them. But psychologically intelligent people learn something different. They realize emotional reactions give away information. Every outburst reveals insecurity. Every emotional explosion reveals vulnerability. This is why calm individuals often dominate arguments, not because they are always right, but because emotional stability creates psychological pressure. Studies in neuroscience have shown that emotional regulation is strongly connected to activity in the prefrontal cortex. This area of the brain helps regulate impulses and emotional reactions. People with stronger emotional regulation often make more strategic decisions under pressure, and that creates a terrifying advantage. Imagine two people in conflict. One reacts emotionally, the other remains calm. The calm person immediately gains psychological control because the emotional person becomes predictable, and predictability creates weakness. This is one reason many powerful individuals appear emotionally detached. They understand that self-control is social power.
The dark side of empathy. Most people think empathy is kindness, but empathy is simply understanding emotion, and understanding emotion can be used for good or manipulation. This is where dangerous intelligence becomes truly dark. Psychologists have long studied individuals with high cognitive empathy. Cognitive empathy means understanding exactly what someone feels, but emotional empathy means actually caring, and those two things are not always connected. A manipulator can understand your emotions perfectly, without caring about your well-being at all. That's what makes certain personalities incredibly dangerous. Psychologist Paul Ekman's work on facial expressions revealed how accurately emotions can be identified through subtle behavioral signals. Some individuals become extremely skilled at reading these emotional cues. And once someone understands your fears, they understand your buttons, your loneliness, your need for approval, your desire to feel chosen. This is why manipulation often feels invisible. The manipulator doesn't force control. They create emotional dependency. Sigmund Freud believed much of human behavior is driven by unconscious desire. And modern advertising, politics, and social media platforms heavily exploit this reality. People believe they are making independent choices, but many decisions are emotionally engineered. This is why psychologically intelligent people can become either incredible leaders or incredibly dangerous, because once someone fully understands human weakness, they gain the ability to influence human behavior. Why intelligent people often become isolated. There is another side to dangerous intelligence: isolation. Many highly observant people eventually withdraw from others, not because they hate people, but because they begin seeing patterns everywhere. They notice fake behavior, manipulation, social performance, hidden motives, and eventually, it becomes exhausting. Arthur Schopenhauer once wrote, "The smarter you are, the more alone you become." Intelligent people often struggle socially because they overanalyze behavior. Research in psychology has shown that individuals with high levels of introspection and analytical thinking are sometimes more vulnerable to anxiety and social withdrawal. Why? Because awareness changes experience. Once you see through illusion, you cannot unsee it. This is why many intelligent individuals become quieter over time, not weaker, just more selective. They stop wasting energy trying to impress people. They realize most social interactions are driven by status validation, insecurity, ego. And once someone understands this deeply, silence starts feeling safer than performance. The most dangerous person is calm. The truly dangerous person rarely looks dangerous. They are calm, controlled, patient. They do not seek constant attention. And because they are emotionally disciplined, people underestimate them. The philosopher Lao Tzu wrote, "He who knows does not speak. He who speaks does not know." Now, obviously, silence alone does not equal wisdom. But history repeatedly shows that disciplined minds are often more powerful than reactive ones. The strongest psychological position is emotional independence, because when someone no longer desperately needs approval, validation, attention, emotional reactions, they become difficult to manipulate, and society is built heavily around emotional influence. Algorithms manipulate attention, advertising manipulates insecurity, politics manipulates fear, the average person reacts constantly. But calm individuals create distance between emotion and action. Viktor Frankl explained this beautifully. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. That space is where dangerous intelligence lives. Why human nature never changes. Technology evolves, society evolves, but human nature barely changes. Fear, greed, loneliness, desire, status. These forces have controlled humanity for thousands of years.